Now at 6 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, a Crescent Valley resident warns of a dangerous highway hazard on Highway 185. Plus, the West Texas measles outbreak has now reached 159 cases, how health officials are taking action to stop the spread. And a fast-moving brush fire in San Antonio prompts evacuations.
We are having our own problems with possible fires here and around Victoria County. We'll certainly be updating you on that. The dust is still there. The winds are still strong. We peaked at 55 miles an hour, but it's going to be settling down overnight. It'll be very dry again tomorrow. Our chances for rain are getting pretty slim. We'll talk about that coming up in a moment.
And Hallettsville Sacred Heart football team has got a new head coach and AD from earlier today. Find out who it is coming up in sports.
You're watching 25 News Now at 6. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Shauna Curry. Don Brubaker has the night off. Emergency crews are currently working a large grass fire on Fleming Prairie Road in southern Victoria County. Fleming Prairie is closed from US 77 to Givens Road. Drivers are being asked to avoid the area. We do have a crew on the scene that will be giving us updates throughout the evening. 2 people are dead after a one-vehicle crash in Yoakum. Authorities say 21-year-old Peyton Robert Giral and 17-year-old Francesca Solis died at the scene on Hahn Road at Farm to Market Road 682. Giral was driving. Solis was a rear passenger in the truck. 2 others, Fred Lawrence Rosales Jr. and Justine Cruz, were hurt. Cruz remains in ICU in San Antonio. Troopers say the crash happened early Saturday morning. The truck was traveling too fast for heavy fog conditions, hit a tree, overturned, and caught fire. The investigation is ongoing and an autopsy has been ordered for the driver. A Crescent Valley resident says that she's in danger every time she leaves her driveway, and she's looking for help from Victoria County commissioners. 25 News Now reporter Trenton Whiting joins us with more. Trenton.
Shauna, Crescent Valley resident Mary Elva says several parked cars on the shoulder of Highway 185 blocked the view of oncoming traffic. Over the weekend, one of the cars caught fire. Elva lives on Hilltop Road in Crescent Valley. She says the parked cars along the shoulder of Highway 185 makes merging onto the highway dangerous. She has tried to report this problem to local leaders, but hasn't gotten any answers so far.
I'm on the last house of the hill, but when I come across to cross over, you've got all these vehicles in the way. I've talked to the constable. I've talked to Myers, won't pick up his phone. Rivera didn't want to give me his number. It's ridiculous.
Elva hasn't had any accidents yet, but she's looking for prompt assistance and is concerned about the lack of a response coming from her elected leaders. Precinct 1 County Commissioner Danny Garcia says they've sent the Sheriff's Department over to the neighbor's home to get them to move the cars. He went on to say that it's mostly a TxDOT issue. We've reached out to TxDOT and we're waiting to hear back from them. Shauna, back to you.
All right, Trenton, thank you. Well, big deadlines are coming up for the May election. April 3rd is the last day to register to vote. Early voting runs from April 22nd to April 29th. And on that first day, April 22nd, that is also the deadline to apply for a mail-in ballot. Then Election Day is May 3rd. A brush fire is spreading rapidly on the far south side of San Antonio, prompting an evacuation order from the Bexar County Office of Emergency Management. The fire broke out near Southton Road and IH 37 just after 12:40 this afternoon. Authorities are urging everyone in the area to evacuate immediately. Around 30 homes in southeastern Bexar County are affected, including areas south of Highway 181. The Bexar County Sheriff's Office is blocking off streets, and additional evacuations are in place for those along Duke Road. A temporary shelter has been set up at Mission Espada Fellowship Hall on Espada Road. Texas Agriculture Commissioner Sid Miller is urging Texans to be on high alert as wildfire and storm risks remain critical across the state. Well, after a little bit of rain this morning, that wind has been whipping the rest of the day. San Antonio seeing fires. We're seeing some here in Victoria County. To the south of us, a lot of these caused by downed power lines from all of this wind. Thankfully, Chief Meteorologist Mac Perez did not get blown away today, so he is here with a first look at our forecast. Mac.
Yeah, well, I'm a little too heavy for that, but yes, and the dust that you see in the air, that's Lubbock. Yeah, that's West Texas dirt that got kicked up in the storm and blew all the way down here. Right now we're at 76. Our winds are down a little bit, down to 15 miles an hour. But at 3 o'clock, we had a peak wind gust of 55 miles an hour. So 40-mile-an-hour winds are not unusual. So the red flag warning continues. We need to be very cautious with anything that looks like flame overnight and again tomorrow. We'll talk more about that and take a look at what happens for the rest of the week coming up in a moment.
The West Texas measles outbreak has now reached 159 cases. The Texas State Health Commissioner shared the latest numbers with the Texas House Committee on Public Health. Most of the cases are minors, with 22 patients hospitalized and 1 school-aged child passing away. The outbreak has spread across 9 counties in Texas and 1 in New Mexico. The health commissioner outlined efforts to contain the outbreak, including expanding lab testing and preparing strike teams to deliver vaccines in affected areas.
We try to get vaccine out as fast as possible if somebody's been exposed. If we don't hit that 72-hour window, occasionally we can also give immunoglobulin injections. And so this would be particularly for those babies who are under the age of 1 that are really susceptible to health complications. And so we are making sure that we have purchased more of this immunoglobulin and that we have positioned it out in the South Plains region so that we can prevent those really vulnerable Texans from getting sick.
Dr. Shuford told lawmakers the MMR vaccine is up to 97% effective in protecting against measles. Lawmakers discussed ways to encourage more Texans to get the vaccine amid the outbreak. The son of a Buc-ee's co-founder is facing new child pornography charges. 29-year-old Mitchell Wasek was indicted on invasive visual recordings charges less than a year ago. Police seized several recordings and data storage devices from him. A forensic analysis of those materials found 2 files of suspected child sexual assault. One victim was identified as a 7-year-old girl. A suspect pled guilty last April to making those recordings, and now new charges of third-degree child pornography possession charges have been filed against Wasek. His first court appearance on these new charges is set for March 19th. DeWitt County Sheriff's Office Lieutenant Investigator Bethany Hobbs has been accepted into a prestigious 10-week course at the FBI National Academy. To read the full story, visit our website, crossroadstoday.com. For the first time, people in Austin can catch a ride without a driver. Through the Uber app, riders can now book a self-driving Jaguar I-Pace, which seats up to 4 people. If you want a better chance at getting a Waymo driverless car, you can tweak your rider preferences at no extra cost. But if you would rather stick with a human driver, you can always request a different ride. Waymo is also set to launch in Atlanta later this year. So this brings us to our viewer poll. What concerns you most about driverless cars? Is it safety and accident risks, technical malfunctions, a lack of human assistance, or you have no concerns? You're excited for them. We want to hear from you. Visit crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part. And down a few percentage points, but 72% of you feel that safety and accident risks is the biggest concern with driverless cars. Continue voting. We'll have the latest look on 25 News Now at 10. And remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell. Stay with us. Coming up on 25 News Now at 6, President Trump addresses Congress tonight, detailing his accomplishments and future agenda. Plus, tariffs threaten price hikes on food and electronics, sparking trade war concerns. The U.S. Supreme Court is weighing a lawsuit from Mexico against American gun manufacturers. Justices heard oral arguments in the case today. In 2021, the Mexican government sued top U.S. gun makers for $10 billion. Mexico claims the companies design and market their guns specifically to drug cartels and should be held responsible for violence on the border. Gun rights groups, including the National Rifle Association, have slammed the lawsuit. The NRA says it's an effort to destroy the U.S. gun industry by making it easier to sue for huge sums, despite a 2005 law meant to protect gun manufacturers. That law typically shields gun makers from liability for crimes committed with their products. In just a matter of hours, President Donald Trump will deliver his first address to Congress since retaking the White House. He's expected to detail his whirlwind first 6 weeks in office, as well as make the case for his sweeping domestic and foreign policy plans. Julia Benbrook has more.
President Donald Trump is speaking to a joint session of Congress tonight.
He's going to level set with the American people about where exactly we are as a country, what's happened over this past 4 years, what he's been able to accomplish over the last 4 or 5 weeks, then what we still have yet to go.
Trump has made a whirlwind of moves since inauguration, announcing several rounds of tariffs on imports, firing thousands of federal workers in an effort to reduce the size of the federal government, and signing a flurry of executive orders, with several of those facing legal challenges.
This president is working so quickly. I invited him to come early in the process to give this joint address because there's so much to report to the people.
Trump believes he has a mandate from voters, but parts of his agenda will require help from Congress. And tonight's speech is an opportunity to rally Republicans who hold slim majorities in both chambers. Democrats, though, are pushing back.
People are rising up to push back against the assault on the economy, the assault on hardworking families, the assault on our democracy.
His speech comes as the country is greeting his goals with skepticism. A recent CNN poll shows that more Americans feel Trump's policy proposals are taking the country in the wrong direction than the right direction. At the Capitol, I'm Julia Benbrook.
President Trump is trying to move the appeal of his New York criminal case to federal court. Such a shift could potentially speed up a review by the U.S. Supreme Court. Lawyers for Trump have asked the Second U.S. Court of Appeals to reverse the decision to keep the case in state court by a lower federal court judge. They argue the appeal of the sentence and conviction should be handled in federal court and not go through lawyers of state appellate court review first, which could take years to play out. Trump was convicted of 34 New York State counts of falsifying business records to cover up a hush money payment to adult film actress Stormy Daniels days before the 2016 presidential election. A state court judge sentenced him to an unconditional discharge. Well, for a second day, the market's taking a hit as President Trump enacts tariffs on the U.S.'s three biggest trade partners. Stocks tumbling as fear grows that these tariffs will impact the American economy. Jen Sullivan breaks down what could cost more.
The price of a wide array of items will likely be going up soon, everything from food to electronics. This comes as President Donald Trump's tariffs on 3 of America's biggest trade partners threaten a trade war. And caught in the middle could be American consumers.
There is no question that this is going to be hitting Americans in the next days, weeks, and months.
Goods coming from China will be subject to a 20% tariff, and goods coming from Canada and Mexico will be taxed 25%, with only a slim exemption for some Canadian energy products. Trump argues that open trade is costing Americans millions of jobs and says these tariffs will hopefully entice companies to move factories to the U.S.
What they have to do is build their car plants, frankly, and other things in the United States.
Mexico is the largest supplier of fruit and vegetables to the U.S., according to the University of California, Davis. The country is a top provider of tomatoes, avocados, raspberries, bell peppers, and strawberries. These are just some of the grocery items that are expected to cost more for American consumers.
Consumer prices are going to go dramatically up. So this is going to take a big hit on the American economy.
The tariffs are triggering a flurry of reaction from leaders in all 3 countries.
We will not back down from a fight, not when our country and the well-being of everyone in it is at stake.
Both Canada and China retaliating against the U.S. and announcing their own tariffs on American goods. Mexico's president says she would also announce retaliatory tariffs. I'm Jen Sullivan reporting.
China says it will add a 15% tariff on chicken, wheat, corn, and cotton imports from the U.S., among other measures.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. We got up to 81 degrees today, and then that wind was really howling. You can see the haze in the sky right now. That's dust from West Texas that got blown into our region. We were at 57 this morning. We actually had, 0.07 hundredths of an inch of rain, so wasn't much of it. And now we're going to be on the dry side for a while. We'll be talking more about that coming up in just a moment. Well, that wind was really something. We had a peak wind of 55 miles an hour earlier today at about 3 o'clock. Right about now, it's still gusting up to about 29, 30 miles an hour. So it's still quite breezy. And we all have to continue to be very cautious with anything that looks like flame outside, because we've got still the red flag warning, and now our humidity is just bottomed off the table. You probably feel the fact that it's just extremely dry out there. Of course, when the storms passed through the Dallas area, they had a lot of damage up there, a lot of wind, a lot of hail. They had tornado warnings, but then that also ended. We got the little tail end of that little front that came through our area, and now that's blown all the way out into the Mississippi Valley. Of course, now we've got the dry air, and we've got the very low humidities that'll be with us for a couple of days. As a result, not only our area, but South Texas all the way out to far West Texas are under a red flag warning. That means high winds, low visibilities, and it's springtime. Things are beginning to bloom, but not everything has greened up. So that's basically tinder. And so driving out at the ranch, just do be cautious. Avoid, grasses areas like that, and certainly outdoor fires. You don't want to even think about it right about now. As you can see, the winds are coming out of the northwest, blowing through our area. They will decrease in intensity tonight, but tomorrow we will continue with a very dry, bone dry atmosphere and lots of sunshine getting us only up into the mid-70s because it's a north wind and it's a little colder. You can see how the howling winds blowing through Arkansas, Oklahoma, and North Texas. And of course, the real severe weather is now occurring out there, moving out into Alabama. So we take a look at that system that is now pulling away, and we now start looking at this system. This frontal system will move through our area probably on Saturday, and is not going to have enough moisture to work with for any kind of shower activity. So it'll be another dry line coming through and making it rather breezy. Here are the local temperatures. We're looking at 50 tonight, 51 in Houston area, so a little cooler, not quite as humid as it was last night. And tomorrow, because of the north wind, we get up only to 74 degrees, but with abundant sunshine, it'll feel quite warm. Wanted to remind you that we also have some wildfires now going on in San Patricio County, outside of Sinton, and also one further south in Duval County, and another one down in the Clayburgh County area. So, you know, we hope that everybody gets on top of that and prevents it from getting any broader. Now here's a storm, and the snow and the ice. Of course, all we had was the rain. That's moving away, and now we're looking at higher pressure, dry air, giving us a lot of sun and rather milder temperatures, but no humidity, no moisture. This storm is another big one that I told you about on the West Coast. That comes ashore over the coming weekend, and by the time we get to about Friday night, Saturday is when it passes through our area, probably with a few clouds and maybe a drop or two, but chances of any real rain with that are pretty limited right now. So tomorrow, clear, sunny, actually kind of a beautiful day. Only problem is extremely low humidities and temperatures getting into the mid-70s. Sunny all day long in the Cuero area, and we take a look at our 7-day forecast. We're looking for very pleasant weather except for the wind and the low humidity still on Thursday and Friday, and then there's that next front. That one gets us up to 84, then knocks us down just a little bit. But in terms of any significant rainfall, it's just not in the forecast there. That's your 7-day forecast, reminding everybody we do have a QR code. We'd love for you to scan that. Put Crossroads Today on your phone. And here's Shauna.
All right, thank you, Mac. Well, now we send it over to Max Williams, who's going to be heading out here pretty soon into some of this brutal wind.
That's right, Sean. I'll be careful, like I said. Don't want to get too crazy with the highlights and everything later on tonight with this wind that's happening. But earlier today, though, we got some honors for UHV baseball and the golf teams there from Red River Athletic Conference. I'll tell you who the players were coming up in sports. All right, happy Tuesday, Crossroads. And yesterday we broke some news of Torrey East hiring Calhoun defensive coordinator Alan Salina. Well, the coaching cycle continues with Hallettsville Sacred Heart hiring former Latonia and Van Fleck coach Rodney Dowell. Dowell retired from Van Fleck back in 2023, and so he's back into coaching and again, back teaching the Hallettsville Sacred Hearts there at the next level. Now over to St. Joseph Swimming, where we highlighted a historic season for the swimming team as they held their annual banquet this weekend. Here are some of the awards, with the MVS award going to Anna Aschenbach and Jackson Souther. Then the Shock the Clock award went to Levi Strauss. The Fighting Heart award went to Cody and Jack Granado. And then finally tonight there, the Jesse Carey award went to Liz Porche and Jackson Souther. Congrats to St. Joseph Swimming, winning multiple awards and getting a lot of placers there going into state. Tune in for 25 News now at 10. We're going to highlight the St. Joseph men's and women's soccer teams there at the banquets as well later at 10 o'clock. And over to softball action, where we have top-seeded Shiner Lady Comanches, 12-2 overall right now, are traveling to Bloomington tonight to face the Lady Bobcats. The game just started here about 6 p.m. and I got to update. It's 9-0 right now, Shiner over Bloomington right now. We'll give you again the full highlights of that game and also maybe Shiner baseball as well there at 10 o'clock. And then over to UHB baseball, where Christian Garcia was named Red River Athletic Conference Player of the Week. Garcia had some outstanding numbers from last week, hitting at the plate, the .675 on base percentage, a 1.23 on slugging percentage, and had 4 RBIs, 2 home runs, scored 8 runs in total there versus their series against Xavier University. And Garcia, UHB didn't get this news again. They traveled to Prairie View A&M today, and they beat another Division I opponent, winning 4-3 over Prairie View A&M, and they're back in action against Jarvis Christian University this Friday. And then according to multiple reports, all-star player Kyrie Irving is out for the rest of the season with a torn ACL. In a game against Sacramento Kings on Monday, Irving's left knee just bent awkwardly as he attempted to try to get a layup. And the 32-year-old left the game after shooting 2 free throws, and he did not return. It's a big blow there for Mavericks fans. Again, after they just traded Luka Doncic, lose the Los Angeles Lakers last month. And again, Anthony Davis forced again to leave earlier on his first game there for the Mavs. So the Mavs in trying to maybe be in rebuild mode now going into the rest of the season. That's going to do it here in sports. Shauna, back to you.
All right, thank you, Max. We're back in a moment. Is it a boy or a girl? A new giraffe calf has arrived at the Sacramento Zoo, and we'll find out. It's a girl. The Sacramento Zoo announced the birth of a new giraffe. The mom, Amira, gave birth on Saturday, and the zoo announced the calf was on her feet within 2 hours and started nursing shortly after that. The mother and calf will be given bonding time. The official debut date for the public to see the new calf will depend on the pair's health and welfare. The zoo now has 5 female Maasai giraffes, including this new baby calf. So she's got lots of them to look after her and, kind of be the big sisters, I guess you could call it. So very cute. So, all right, we are keeping an eye on this wind. Lots of wildfires, Matagorda County, Victoria County to the south of us, up near San Antonio. They're really just all over the place.
One in San Patricio County in Sinton, it's fairly large. So yeah, we're all concerned about that. Hopefully the winds will continue settling down, but it'll be very dry. And tomorrow we still have the red flag warning. So do be cautious tomorrow with anything that looks like flames. It should be a nice day. We'll get up to about 74, but it'll be a little breezy, not as bad as today, and very dry right on through the coming weekend.
All right, we'll be keeping an eye on those fires as well and the crews that are fighting them. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you back here at 10.